We've just gone through a brand and long-term vision, who to serve for your ideal client, how to price your product and service, optimizing your service delivery, client acquisition, client retention, hiring and managing a team in $100,000 per month while working 4 hours per week or less as an online coach. So I built a business that we went from 0 employees to 20 people in about a year, and about 0 to 30 people in about 18 months or so a year and a half. And this is what I've learned. So when to hire as an online coach. First of all, you probably want to start with a video editor once you're at about 10K per month. So you can take back your time and stop editing those videos, those ads, that organic content. You want to have someone who can do all that work for you, and they're probably going to do it better than you as well. So that can actually improve the performance of the content that you put out. Then you want to get an appointment setter, so you can, again, buy back the time of not having to DM people, stay in that, middle of the funnel, messaging everyone, responding, and so on and so forth. You want to have someone who's doing it all for you, so that you can, again, focus your time on things that bring more value to your business. Like, instead of working in the business, you're working on the business. Then at about 50K per month point, you get a closer. So instead of you having to jump on every single sales call, you will have someone who closes the deals for you. So what you can do then is make sure that your clients are achieving the results, that your programs are on point. And that is important because you're going to be getting a lot more clients. So the more clients you get, the more you need to spend time to make sure that they're all happy and they're all seeing the results. At that point, at about 80 to 100K per month, you want to get a customer success manager who is going to kind of keep people accountable and make sure they're happy. So again, the more people you have in the program, the more likely someone is to be unhappy. That's why you need a dedicated person to make sure everyone is happy. And finally, delivery. So at this point, you can actually get people who will do programming for you, communicate with the clients for you, and do all of that. And what you can do with those people you hire for delivery, you can actually introduce them to your brand. So if you watch this training from the very start, I talked about how you can grow a personal brand, or you can build an actual business on the side that you can exit and potentially sell, or just spend a couple of hours working on every single month. So once you hire those people who do the delivery as well, what you can do is introduce them as experts on your social media and say, like, look, we hired a team, we're growing, like the service delivery is better than it ever was just because of these people. And then they start sharing their knowledge, and that builds more trust. And this way you are able to remove yourself from business, from social media, from service delivery. Like, people don't need you as much as they did before, but you're making a lot more money. So this way you have an actual business that you can work on, or actually hire everyone to do everything for you while you only work a few hours per week. So that is very, very important. And of course, if you see you need to hire someone else, like you need help with something else, like you need a virtual assistant or anything else, well, see what really fits for your business the most. Then do this. Hire when you feel like you're about to have a bottleneck. So the best thing I've ever done was I actually saw, like, okay, I always kept the communication very open with my team and always asked them, like, let me know when you're feeling like you're going to cap out soon. And he told me that, and we hired someone, and we never had that point of like, oh, damn, like, this is like, we don't have enough people. What do we do now? It's always like, okay, we need to hire this person, just because in about a month or so, we might reach that cap and it's going to be very difficult. So think about that. Keep the promises you make to your team. I've seen so many good people leave their companies just because their bosses made a promise to them and they didn't keep the promise. And those people go out and build a competing business or anything like that. So you don't want to be that boss. If you make the promise, keep the promise. In general, you don't want to be that person that doesn't keep their promises. Pay them well. So pay your team well. If you don't pay them well, especially if they're an amazing employee, they're going to leave you. And you might as well pay your team more, have a happy team that won't leave you, and you can just chill back and watch them do the work and grow your business for you. Celebrate and reward for achieved milestones. So don't just let the achieved milestones and slide. Reward people for it. Acknowledge it. People want to be acknowledged. Make them feel like they matter and are important to your team. I've noticed when I had a team, when we built that team, they always got new offers from competing companies, but they never did that. And I asked, they never took the offers, and I asked them why. And they said it's not only about the pay, it's about the people that they work with, and they feel like they're important and they're being listened to. So that is very important. You'll notice that at a certain point, it's going to be not business problems, but people problems. Hire fast, fire fast. The quickest I fired a person was on week 1, day 5 of their working day, because they were just not doing anything, literally. And the girl, at first she seemed like a perfect fit for the position that we hired her for. And then I noticed she didn't do any work, she didn't even log in. I was well, that tells me a lot about the person. And yeah, she didn't do any work, so I pretty much fired her on day 5. And then let them experiment and be autonomous. Another thing is that keeps the people around is let them be them and let them experiment if they have an idea. Just because they've spent so much more time doing the thing that they're doing, they're going to be better than you, and let them experiment. Give them the freedom to experiment. Of course, there are SOPs that they need to follow, but let them be autonomous, and they will develop some things for your business that you'll be surprised of and how much money it can actually make you. So let them do this. And be the employer you would want to work for. I've seen young business people who, very young, who start their business and they're so it's such a bad employees. They're treating their employees like shit. And I asked them would you want to work for yourself? And he was no. I was exactly. So why are you doing this to your employees? That you cannot do that. So be the employer you'd want to work for. We've probably all had bad employers, and all that shitty boss, and we were I'll never be like that. So make sure you don't become that. Then managing your team. There are a few different apps. There are plenty more than this. I've just listed out the ones that I've used. So there's Asana, Trello, Monday.com, and ClickUp. Asana is good. I didn't really like it. It didn't really work for me. Then Trello is free. And it's not really my kind of thing. I mostly use ClickUp. I have most experience with ClickUp. What I recommended from the functionality perspective, yes. From the platform itself perspective, no, because it's very glitchy. So Monday.com is good. It has very similar functionality to ClickUp, but it's not as glitchy. So I would go with Monday.com over all of these. And as I just mentioned, at first you have cash problems when you start out, then you have business problems, and then you have people problems. So be very mindful of that, because you will reach a point where you're going to have people problems. And sometimes those are a lot more tiring than business problems. So yeah, and the few books I recommend is Radical Candor by Kim Scott. Amazing book. It really actually helps with communication within the business, and actually just any kind of relationship, to be honest. You can take so much from this book. Always recommend this one. So check it out. And create a culture where people can and want to speak up. And this is a great quote from Patty McCord, who is a co-creator of Netflix Culture Deck. She said, if we were discussing something that went wrong, and you said, oh, I knew that was a problem, but nobody asked me, then I'd probably run you over in the parking lot, because you allow something to go wrong that you saw that was coming. And this is so powerful, because in so many businesses, people are afraid to speak up even if they see the problem, because they know they're not going to be listened to, or they're going to be scolded for what they said. So make sure you create the environment where people actually speak up. And this is read her book, Patty McCord's book, Powerful. It's really funny because I remember 3-4 years ago, I was in Melbourne or airport, and it was dead empty. And there were 2 of these books just left laying there, and there was no one around. So I picked one up and I read it on the flight. I didn't steal it. I literally looked around and asked if like the few people that were there, I was like, "This is yours?" And they were like, "No." And it seemed like a cool book, so I took it and read it, and it was very powerful indeed. So I do recommend it. Okay, so that is all for hiring and managing a team. And next step is the final section of the exit and how you can exit your business and different types of exits. I'll see you in the next one.